Okay. Well, DBR here. Welcome to Hamityville Horror. I am Clint.
I'm Don.
Thank you for visiting. We are joined today with a very special guest. We're going to have
very,
what?
very
Oh,
special guest.
I'm sorry. You corrected me. Very, very, very special guest. We are here today with Deborah Voorhees. And I should mention your sidekick. You
Scout.
are with Scout.
And Scout.
Yes. There's Scout. Hi, Scout. So we'll get into Scout a little bit later because he had a very prestigious acting role in one of your films.
He did.
But I mean, yeah. But before we do that, I just wanted to say 13-year-old me is doing like backflips right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
I'm jumping out the window and came back in.
I wasn't 13 years old when Friday the 13th Part 5 came out, but that's about how old I was when I saw it. And in real life, I can't do backflips. So psychologically, I just landed on my face, imagining doing a backflip. But thank you
I could
very
actually
much.
tell that you were not 13 when the film came out.
Bam.
Oh, that means I look
Burn.
young. Thank you
You
very much.
You definitely do.
Burn on me. I got the shirt and everything. I
Yeah,
look
yeah.
older than he does. I don't know what it is.
So I'm
You don't
sorry,
look old either, though. Just me. I'm the only
Oh.
old here.
We started this saying off
No.
mic that you looked fantastic. So do not,
Yeah.
don't.
Thank you.
You look phenomenal.
No.
You look great.
You look
I'm
wonderful.
60.
Bullshit.
Wow.
Bullshit. You said that in one interview with Terror Express, and I don't believe it. It's no. I don't believe it.
That's crazy to me. I
It's
would not
crazy to
peg you
me,
with that.
too. Me, I don't know what the hell happened, but I was born in
Yeah.
61, and no matter how I do the math, it comes out 60.
She's like,
Yeah.
Believe me,
like,
I keep counting.
they carry the one minus that. It's like
This.
bullshit. This is
Yeah.
bullshit.
I think the same thing about myself now. I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get this old? You know,
Okay, how old are
I didn't
you?
die. That's how I
Oh
got
my
this
God,
old.
she asked you point blank.
43. I was born in 78.
43.
I'm 30,
You don't have a thing to complain about.
I'm
I
38,
don't think
so
I
I
do.
guess.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
got the
so
youngster over here.
Yeah, no way.
You both are youngsters.
You can
You're-
flip that. That's how I feel half the days is 83.
Wow.
But anyway, you know
That's-
what? Enough about age. Age is only a number.
It's just a number.
It is.
That's right.
It is. So we're both going to say we are honored and privileged to be graced with your presence because you are an incredible actress, director. With everything that we've seen, you are just absolutely incredible. 13 Fanboy was an absolute masterpiece. In my opinion, I absolutely loved it. The only thing I didn't love, and you know what, guys, if you haven't seen it yet, go fucking see it because I'm about to spoil something for you. I didn't like how you died in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, that
I
kinda
did,
sucked.
and I said that on your
It was a
group.
cool
I'm
scene.
like, why did she die? I'm like,
Well, there's a few good reasons. There actually are
Because
legitimate.
you had to be behind the camera.
behind the camera.
Right, because I was working behind the camera. That's one. The other thing is, I was asking people to come on the film. They weren't being asked to come on and play a character who's being stalked. I'm asking them to come on as themselves being stalked and potentially killed.
Sure.
So I really needed to jump off the cliff first. As an actor, if you're not an actor, it may not sound as scary, but that's way more scary. Like if somebody came to you guys and said, hey, we're going to put you in this film and you're going to play yourselves and there's this guy stalking you and they're going to kill you.
Kind of scared.
It feels so much more personal. That's one thing. The other thing is the actress me and the producer me, we're in conflict. The actress me is really pissed off at the producer for killing me off so early. The producer me says it had to happen, kid. Get over it.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started with what I say to the director.
Hey, we're
So
we're
the
uncensored.
director me.
We're uncensored. We're unscripted. If you need to say whatever you say, we are
Yeah.
100%. You say
and-
what you want.
We don't care if it sounds like multiple personality
Nope, we
disorder.
don't.
You
That's
go
right.
ahead.
That's right.
We don't judge anybody that comes on this show. We
But
just
don't tell the director and the producer me what I said, okay? Because I don't want them to think that I, like, don't respect them, and because then they might not hear me again.
well, then we'll get murdered. See, then we'll have to be in the sequel, and then we'll get murdered. Like, hey, those guys that we talked about that we had split personalities? Now they gotta die.
Right.
Now they gotta die. And it's funny that you mention it because, your producer, Joel, this started the whole thing, did it not? Basically like how we are. Of course, we're horror fans,
Mhm.
and the best thing about it is that, you said that, horror fans are some of the best fans out there, but they can get scary. They can get intimidating, and
Just a few. We're talking about less than
it's
1%.
absolutely
Teeny, tiny.
and that's the thing that I love about it, is that you can say it and you don't, there's no, you're not bullshitting anybody. Like, you know what fans are, what what we're all capable of, but
Right.
you've never, we love what you've done. That's the thing, is that we love what you do, and it's just, it really sucks that if there's ever one of those incidents that it kind of just clouds the pool, because it doesn't
Right.
happen often, and honestly, I've
Right.
never really heard of a lot of incidents with going to these cons and everything. I just heard everybody
Right.
is
At the
amazing.
cons, I think it's been pretty good. There have been a few incidences. And then, of course, in our cast, some of a couple of minor things that happened to me are actually lines in the film. And then Adrienne King bowed out because she had a stalker in real life, and it was way too close for comfort for her. Laura Park Lincoln had a stalker for 6.5 years.
Jesus.
Shot at.
What?
Wow.
Yes, both Adrienne and Laura had two very, very dangerous situations. And of course, she's in the film. And then Judy Aronson also had a stalker. And so
Yeah.
it's not that uncommon.
No, I guess not.
No.
It's still less than 1%, but that 1%, okay, think about it. If you're saying something's 1%, that's 1 out of 100, right?
Right.
Yeah.
About being at a party with 100 people and there's one person with a problem. That one person can be ugly to a whole lot of people in one room really super fast, right?
Right.
So now we're talking about something that we're not talking about 1 out of 100, because now we're talking about
Oh yeah.
insane numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And be a household that somebody would be murdered on any given day if that were the case.
Right.
We're talking about way less than that.
Well, good. I mean, that's that's good. But there's, the thing about it with me is that, I hate that there's even a percentage, because it should never come down to that. It's like,
Sure.
you guys are actors, actresses, but the thing about it, at the end of the day, you guys are just real normal people. You guys are, you
Right.
just want to do what you do and get on with it. And, you understand what, hey, when I go to these conventions, I'm here for the fans, but, let's not
Right.
get weird about the shit. Let's just do what you came here to do. Let's talk. Let's get
Right.
a picture. Let's get an autograph. But
I think it
about-
is important, though, to know that even those who misbehave, these are people who are coming from a place of fear.
right.
And so they're behaving poorly. When you are afraid, what do? You act out with jealousy,
You lash it. You lash out.
hatred, sometimes violence, that sort of thing. So, I don't want to just like say that, yes, these are human beings who are making bad choices and doing really bad things. But I don't want to paint them with a broad stroke and say that they're bad. Most of them are disturbed. Some of them literally have brain problems, like part of their frontal cortex is missing. So they're not able to handle impulse control. We have people who have chemical imbalances. So we have to remember these are still human beings, and they were little babies at one time and small children, and either life or physical problems or chemical problems or drugs or something took them to a dark place. And so that's really important to me, that we don't forget that.
And you know what? It brings up another good point, because again, I've done my homework on you, which is kind of creepy, but I have. No, I mean, you're big in, you know, when you were young, you wanted to be a guardian angel. That was your thing. You wanted to be,
Yes.
you know, you wanted to be something.
Who said I stopped?
No, not you still want to, but it's one of those things that you understand, you know, that there are things that happen in people's lives that this is why why they are how they are. And
right.
But there's nobody on the planet Earth that's you know, evil. You know, it's just the fact that, you know, they're just pointed in.
I love you. I love you.
They're just
I
pointed.
love you for saying that.
They're pointed in the wrong direction. I mean, that's the thing. And I love you for, you know, like I said, I watched your interview with Terror Express, and that was a great interview. And I watched all of it today at work. And it was just really cool to see that, you know, you had said that was, you know, no matter what you've done, who you are, it comes down to, you know, and the way that I look at it too is, you know, we're not here to judge anybody. That's not our job at the end of the day. You know, the man upstairs is the one that judges whoever. And, you know,
I got a secret for you.
Is it exclusive?
It's exclusive.
Yes. Lay it on me.
He doesn't judge you.
That's true. That is true.
He doesn't judge you. There is no forgiveness, only because there was no judgment in the first place.
That is very true. You called me out. You
are a loving child that can't, there can be no judgment. Now, I'm not saying there's not sadness or, you know, wishing it were different kind of thing. I mean, think about it, what parents go through,
right?
You know, but no, I mean, you brought that up, but I was 4 years old. For you listeners who don't know, I was 4 years old, and I was laying down in my backyard looking up at the sky. And I was just like, what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was like, I'm going to learn everything that I need to learn. I'm sorry, but I was in a kid's voice. And I'm going to die and become a guardian angel, because I wanted to learn as much as I humanly possibly could to understand mankind. What does man need to understand? Where the hell did I come up with this at 4? I have no idea.
That's and you know what? That's okay. Cause again, you know, and me, it was really bad because me and Clint, you know, before we got on here, we were like, I think this woman is really, 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 really intelligent. And we were like,
or crazy.
We're really, really, really,
well, there's a line.
And we're really, really, really stupid. So it's like, this is either going to all make sense, or we're going to go
connected.
What the fuck is happening? What is going on? But after listening to the interviews, I love the fact that you're so passionate about it, because I'm kind of the same way. And, you know, like you said with, you know, like my mom passed away in 2006 from pancreatic cancer. And, you know, the only thing that I did was pray and pray and pray and pray. And, you know, you know, I didn't get the answer that I wanted, but I was never like, you know, why are you doing this? Why, you know, like, okay, well, you know what? Now my mom is just more euphoric now, because, you know, she's gone, and you know, now she's my guardian angel, because I've been through some things every day.
Yay. I'm so glad you do, because it's true. There's no way she's gonna leave you. She's right there.
Yep. She's watched me since she's watched me since the day I was born, and she keeps on doing it. And that's, you know, that to me is it's a very strong feeling. And it's, and after you know, talking about it, I'm like, you know, I just feel like a connection with that. Like, you know, how you are,
Yeah.
like, I was going to ask, you know, do you feel very strong about the supernatural, paranormal? But now I know, after watching the
Mhm.
interview, I'm like, you know, it's just there and it's real.
Oh
It
yeah,
really is.
it is. And I've felt several ghosts over time. I mean, when I know, like, I'll be just sitting there and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hi dad,
See?
hi mom,
Yep. It happens.
hi,
And
because I
people,
can feel them.
yep.
I can feel them. I went to an estate sale just let's see, it was a week ago. And I was in this woman's closet and I was getting really anxious. And my husband was right there. And I told him, I said, I have to get out of here now. And he's like, what's wrong? And I said, I was trying to talk to this woman. I was like, her spirit, because I could tell she was very upset. And I had a couple of her things. And I was saying, if you don't want me to take these, I will put them down right this second. But I said, if you don't mind, I will take them and I'll be very respectful and keep them nicely at my house. And it took a little bit for her to calm down, but she wasn't fully clear that she had passed yet. I mean, I think she knew it, but there was a part of her that was still in denial. And she felt like people were just rummaging through her things. And she was very proud of her clothing and things. And she was a really nice woman. And I know it sounds crazy, but she calmed down and she felt better. And then was able to join up with her husband. And, you know, and I'm sitting there going, I don't need, you know, am I like making this stuff up in my head? But I'm having this long conversation with this woman and I could feel her anxiousness. And then I could feel it calm as I talk to her. And I'm not talking to her out loud. I'm talking to her just telepathically. And so I asked the woman when I'm checking out and I said, did they just move and are selling all this stuff? Or did somebody pass away? She said, yes, the woman of the household passed away. And I was like, yeah, I thought so.
See, that shit just doesn't happen. Like, it's,
I go to estate sales all the time. That's the only time it's ever happened.
see, and that was a week ago.
It's not like I'm looking for them.
Right? I mean, if you are, I mean, fine, but that was a week ago
Right.
and that happened.
Right.
So, I mean,
You know?
again, you know, it's you know, listening to you talk about that and everything, like, it really struck a chord with me this afternoon, especially because I'm like, you know, I do feel the same way because, you know, my mom is just always, you know, with me, and that's and that goes for anybody. I mean, and everybody in this entire world has felt that presence of somebody that they've lost. And
Most people, I think there's a handful that really haven't felt that yet, and that's okay. And I get why they think maybe the rest of us are, you know, off our loony bin, because there's nothing that can prove it in one way. But all I can say is I've had way too many situations and that I can't explain any way else.
sure.
And you know, I do. I believe that we all have guardian angels. I believe that we all have family, you know, soul families. And just the fact that you guys, we have met, we're part of the same soul family. So if I were to give you a big giant hug, I would hug you and close my eyes and think, oh, this is part of my soul family, you know?
I really want that to happen. Like, I really want to give you a big hug. Like,
That would be nice.
You're just
Thank you.
amazing. And honestly, I really wish I would have went to the mini con that you guys just had. You know, speaking of giving big hugs, you know, I know that was a big thing. That was a first, was it not?
That one actually I was not able to make.
Oh.
But no, I have been to a handful of cons and I will be doing more this year. I'm going to I'll be in South Dakota, Topeka, Kansas. I'll be in Indianapolis.
Come to North Carolina. North Carolina.
North Carolina. Actually, there's a good chance I'll be out that way. But that's still being worked on. I'm doing a lot of promotions for 13 Fanboy.
I would love that because we have a couple cons. Like we just got done with Fear Fest in
Carolina Fear Fest. Yeah.
Carolina Fear Fest, North Carolina.
Oh, okay, cool.
But man, that's I just wanted to get that. I just wanted to talk to you about that because that is
where Don got to stalk Daniel Harris.
Why?
So
why do you have to say that? I didn't stalk
I'm just
anybody.
going full
See,
circle.
We just talked about this bullshit. I didn't stalk anybody. We were press. I went up to her. Damn it! You know what, Clint? No, I'm not doing this. And I'm so glad that we got to talk about that. Out of anything, like I knew after this afternoon, I was like, you know, as weird as it sounds or as corny as it sounds, it just felt like there was a connection. Like, you know, what I've sensed and what I've been through, and you know everything that you've talked about. It's like, man, that's just it's really cool to hear somebody that's on the upper echelon of, you know, the acting career, you know, do the same thing, because you know normally it's just people that, you know, show up on camera and they just say their thing, and you know it's like, well, did you really feel anything? But I know with you it's genuine because it's been
Right.
It's a constant. It's just something you've talked about, and I just wanted to talk to you about it because it's special to me too, as it is with you.
I feel like if people can understand that we don't really have a birth or a death, that if we understand that we're always in existence, we put on like this body is like a piece of clothing that we put on, that it would help people feel much calmer and less fear. And if you can step away from that fear, honestly, just imagine a day, if the entire world for a day could feel nothing but pure love. Do you know how fast this world could change? How much better it could happen? It would be instantaneous.
It'd be the snap of the fingers.
Yes. And think of all those hurt souls, those people whose hearts are just so broken and so torn apart. And if they could feel nothing but pure love coming from everybody around, it would heal. It would heal so
Clint,
many.
this is why I wanted her on the podcast. Because after watching her interviews, like she's like, she's just like inspirational. She's all inspiring. Like this is, it's refreshing. It's recharging.
It is cool, and
It's
I feel
amazing.
like I didn't really chime in very much on that. I won't say that I'm not receptive to it. I'll say that my experience was much smaller. Where I wasn't convinced that it was actually happening, but
Right.
my parents bought my grandfather's house, and I grew up in his house, and he had died in a motorcycle accident before I was born, years before. So we had never actually met, but the 4 years in that house, I would have feelings that there was a presence there, and I had convinced myself at one point that he was trying to get to know me.
Yeah.
That maybe he was there. Yeah. So
I have zero doubt that that's true, because that came to you for a reason. So,
Exactly.
and you know, I don't know that we have to sense it or know it's there for it to be helpful. It might be that thought in your mind that says, hey, so-and-so needs your help. Hey, call somebody. Have you ever called somebody up on the phone and then you found out they needed to hear from you so bad at that moment?
Yeah, I have 100%.
And it's helped them. Or maybe it's just, you know, this person over here whose tire is flat. Hey, pay attention, look over here, because they need you to stop and help them. You know, and I found my whole life, and I've always believed that no matter where I am or no matter what's happening, that there will always be someone there to help me if I need it.
1,000%. And that's a good
And
feeling.
it's always worked. It's always worked. I had my carburetor on my car broke down, and a gentleman stopped, and I admit, at first I would kind of took my breath away because he was this very large, heavily tatted man, and I was just like, And then I was like, okay, just look in his eyes. And I was like, okay, his eyes, he's fine. He's fine. He's a really nice man. And then I saw these two little boys, heads pick up, and they were in their Boy Scout uniforms. And they picked up and they looked out, and he got his kids to their Boy Scout thing. He brought another friend of his who was a very small man, which I know he did that on purpose so that I wouldn't feel uncomfortable. And that gentleman helped me get a part for my car. He then fixed, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't a carburetor, it was the alternator. That's what it was. And he completely replaced my alternator and everything on the side of the road. I tried to give him some money. He refused. And so I asked, well, may I have an address so I can send you a card? Because I was planning on putting some money in there. And he wouldn't, because he knew immediately I was lying through
what you were gonna do.
Right. And so he wouldn't get it. He goes, that's not how this works. He goes, just pay it forward. Sometime somewhere down the road, pay it forward.
Yep.
And so, you know, yeah, I mean, the angels are not just out there. They're right here every day. They're the person that takes a moment to say, hey, you matter today. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate you.
And it could be so small, like even like I don't know how many times I've paid, you know, for a cup of coffee, for a meal, you know, but from the person behind me, you know, just saying, hey, how much is our total? You know, and I think that's where people kind of, you know, they kind of don't understand. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, you don't have to buy somebody a new car or a house. Like,
no,
you know, it's just the pay it forward motion about it is that, you know, hey, you did this. And honestly, if it makes you feel good, do it. Like, don't ever expect to be repaid. And that's how I am. Like, I just do things, you know, and honestly, you know, me and Clint being best friends, like we are, you know, we always do things for each other, and he tries to do things for me, and I try to do things for him. He's like, no, don't do it. But we've just become so accustomed that, you know, we just kind of say, you know, all right, man, you know, if you need anything, let me know. I got you covered. And I just wish more people would understand that. Like, it's not about the size of what you do. It's about how much you know, it's about the fact that you just did it. Like, don't expect anything back. And if you do that, man, it's just that's just how you go through life.
It can be a smile. It can be helping somebody who's struggling, trying to get a bag of dog food into their car, into their cart. It can be just anything. And when you make somebody else's day and they get a smile on their face, guess what? The next person they meet
gets a smile on their face.
Be a little nicer too. I mean, have you ever woken up and during the day and you're just in a grouchy mood, and boy, everybody's in a grouchy mood. Yeah. Go. Huh. But then when you wake up and you're in a good mood and you're really kind and loving to everybody, it's amazing how they're all so kind and loving.
It is. It's like, I think the way you wake up, it's just a way that everybody else feels. I don't know what it is about that. Like, if you wake up pissed off and just, you know, grouchy, yeah, it's like everybody else is like that. But when you wake up, you're like,
because they're picking up on your energy. And so, you know, if you could take and replay that and go back out into the world and go by those same people, I'm not going to tell you you're never going to run across somebody who's in an angry, hateful way. But if you can try and find something in you to still give them a smile, to still give them something back, boy, that could sure be helpful. Sometimes it's a matter of, you know, I have lost my temper with people. I'm like, that was not very nice of you. That is not appropriate behavior. You know, because like I had this one guy almost hit me and then he flips me off. I got so mad. I get out of my car and I go to his window and I go, that was not nice of you at all.
She's a lot nicer than I would be, because I would have kicked that dude's window and be like, what is your problem?
Well, the good thing is that by the time I got back into my car, he got out of his, he walked back over and he just went, "You're right. I'm so sorry. I apologize."
That means, but that means a lot.
Wow.
Like that means a lot, because that means
Mhm.
that he was like, he had the same epiphany of, I was
Why
in
did
the
I
wrong.
just do
Yeah, what
that?
did I just
Right.
do? Like, and
But that's the thing is,
He
it's,
needed to be corrected.
exactly.
yeah, you can stand up for yourself. But what if I had gone to him and started cussing at him and called him every name in the book? It
I
would
would have wanted that on YouTube.
As it was, though, I corrected his behavior.
In a
It wasn't
non-confrontational manner.
nice, and so I don't know. I think it's important that we have to we do need to remind people not to behave in an ugly way.
Right.
Another example was I went to the airport and I had a problem, and the flight was changed, and I ended up in an Uber with a young lady who was much younger than myself. She was like 25, so this was real recently, and she was so scared because she was so unaccustomed. This was her first time to be out. She was from a small town, first time to be out on her own doing something. She just kept looking at me, and I know she was just like, and I was like, "Okay, I'm the mother bear. I got you. Don't worry. I got you. I'm right here." But the Uber driver was yelling at her. And I was like, because he's going, "You have to have this. You have to have this." And because she was supposed to have some kind of voucher, but she accidentally gave it to the wrong person, so she didn't have it. And so I said, "Sir, you need to stop. You must remember, I am your customer and so is she. You do not speak to me or to her like this at all. Now, let me make it clear what you'll do next. You're going to take her first to her hotel room, and I will pay for her ride. And then you will take me to mine, because I didn't want to leave her by herself.
Right.
She was
Right.
not comfortable with the guy.
Right.
And he's like, "She has to have her voucher." I said, "Let me repeat what I just said. You are going to take her there and I will pay for her thing." And she was just like, you could just tell she was just so grateful that I didn't leave her in that moment. But at the same time, that man needed to be corrected.
Sure.
And I did not leave him, which I always leave tips. I didn't leave him a tip. And I explained to him that if you had behaved differently, I said, you would have had a $10 tip on top of it.
Mhm.
So in this country, make sure that you understand, in order to get the tip, you have to behave better and you can't yell at the people.
I
And
love that. Oh,
My
I love
goal
that.
was not to berate him or anything like that.
Sure.
One, help the young lady was my first thing. Second was to help him understand what he needed to do and how he needed to behave in order to make a living at what he was doing.
Absolutely. You got to teach.
So,
There's lessons to be learned.
yes. And so it's not about, to me, that's a very loving thing to do. Now, granted, not everybody
No, not everybody agrees with that.
not everybody wants to be corrected. But if you try and stay as calm as you can, because I have a temper. I do.
Yeah.
I've always
Bullshit.
had a temper.
Bullshit.
I do. I have
No
one.
way.
The delivery
Especially-
matters.
It's
The
much,
delivery does matter.
It does. It's much better than it used to be. My temper's much better now. But it was one of those, I'm just like, easy going. And then
Just gotta kind of ease into it. And you know what? It's funny. It's a good segue to,
Mhm.
how your philosophy is with actors. Like you
Mhm.
don't tell actors what to do. You just kind of let them, hey, bring to the table what you have,
Right.
and let's see what you got. And I
Right.
love that philosophy, is that, because and I love the fact that you use the word stifle, as if you give somebody something, if you tell somebody to do something, it can
Right.
stifle their their craft, and it really can.
Right.
Like, tell me what you can do, because
Right.
if you can do it, if you really want to do this, adjust on the fly, be adjustable. Let's see what you can do. And if I have to give you a direction, I'll give you a direction. And I love the
Right.
fact that that's what you did with 13 Fanboy, is that you had these people, you know, Laura Park Lincoln, Kane Hodder, CJ Graham,
Right.
D Wallace. I mean, you know, that's, you know, you don't have to say anything about that.
The queen.
The queen, the scream queen, your favorite scream queen, from what I understand.
Right.
So, you know, that's what's really cool and refreshing about it, is that, you know, you being, and I guess a really good question would be,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you being the actress and you being the director, is
Mhm.
there a, is it there, is it a difference? Like, do you always put
Yeah.
yourself like in the actor's shoes because you've been there, or
Right.
are you in the director's chair saying, I need you to do this, and I know what that answer is going to be because of how you just said that. You're equal there, like you've done it, you've been there,
Mhm.
so you understand,
Right.
but I have to give you direction to what I want you to do. But like I said, if you're the actor bringing it, I don't have to tell you anything.
Right. Well, see, yeah, one is about, remember as a director to respect your actors. You know that they can do their job, respect them and know that. Now, that doesn't mean that after they give me their first analysis of how they want to play this, that I won't come back and then we'll have that conversation. But if they're already dead on, I don't need to tell them anything more. And if I try and explain to them what I'm thinking, they're going to adjust their performance to try and please me, but they might have come up with something better than what I'm thinking.
Yep.
And believe me, when I get on set, I know this film so well. I know every turn of phrase they're using, every look, every hand gesture, where they're going to turn, how they're going to look, everything. But can you imagine if I tried to put all of that on my actors? Okay,
Nope.
then turn here. Now, oh, no, tilt slightly this way and just a small smirk and then one eyebrow up. You know, I mean, nobody can work under those kind of conditions. That's insane.
Right. Clint, I'm sorry. I watched her interviews. I know how she is. She's so fucking phenomenal. I love the fact how she is. I love it. She's
you.
just, and sorry, I'm outspoken. I'm off the cuff. I don't like to get explicit, but again, when we have this talent, we have this in the building. It is an honor, and I just want you to know that. So I want to pick your brain as much as we can. And it's
Thank
just,
you.
and that's the thing about it, is that, people go on the IMDb and they're like, well, she
Mhm.
was Tina in Friday Part 5. Guys, come on now. It is so much more than that. And, watching 13 Fanboy, and you can ask Clint. My wife is not a huge horror fan.
Mhm.
She looked at me, and I posted it on the page. She looked at me and said, I'm so fucking mad. Why did Deborah Voorhees die in the first 20 minutes? I said, if I ever get an interview with her, I'll ask. And then you
You
answered it.
tell
You have your
her
answer.
that she needs to call my producer and my director.
But she's going to go, well, this is Deborah Voorhees. Well, this is Deborah Voorhees. I'm going to go, she told me that in the interview. She is 45 people in one. So if you want to complain to anybody, you got to complain to her. But she loved the movie. Like, she was like, go on IMDb and please give out a 9 out of 10, because I loved it. And she is not a huge horror fan. There are certain movies that she watches that, like Scream is her absolute favorite movie of all time. And she was like, I would put 13 Fanboy in like top 3. And I was like,
thank you.
yeah, because
Thank you.
she loved, because everybody that was in it, Laura Park Lincoln, D Wallace, you, it was incredible. Ron Sloan, it was like everybody that we had grown up with was there. And she was like,
Right.
I love this movie. And I'm like, I love this too, and you can ask Clint. I think Clint's my backup. Kane Hodder is one of my favorite people I have ever met in my life.
He's so wonderful.
And I met
He's
him.
a kind man.
Oh man, that dude is insanely,
And he's a good actor.
genuine. He is so, and he's a good actor.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't he?
And you don't normally get that, with his silent roles that he's done. He's more of a
Right.
physical actor and like a stunt man, but it's like,
Right.
I was reminded once again watching this movie, it's like, dude can act.
Clint, you're so right,
Excellent.
because I can't tell you, I mean, but for the most part, most everybody was just thrilled with his performance because it's so amazing. But I had a handful of fans who were like, well, Kane Hodder would never act like that. And I'm like,
How do you know that?
you are
Did you see
talking
Hatchet?
about, you're looking at the monster that
Uh-huh.
Jason, not the man.
Mhm.
You not only would he behave like that, but that story that he tells about his father,
Oh my God.
Mhm.
that's a true
True
story.
story.
So we actually changed dialogue. We changed several things, and I wrote it specifically for him. I'm asking these people to come and play themselves. I can't ask them to play a fictional version of themselves. Yes, I mean, it is fiction, the situation, but who they are at their core needs to come through.
Mhm.
And with Kane, I had a couple of lines in there, like where at one point where he thought, well, I guess he says, I feel like that's a little derogatory toward women. And I was just like, dear God, I love you. I wrote those words. It didn't bother me a bit, but I love you for even thinking that. And he wanted to change the words. So what did we do? We changed them.
I love that man. That man.
And
is
how can
so-
you not love him for feeling that way?
I love that man.
Want to portray himself as somebody who would say something. And I'm talking about, I can't even remember the line off the top of my head, but it was so small and so little, but it's still, oh, I know, it was right when he says, I can hear you, I'm right here. I had it where he's like, woman, I can hear you, you're right here. He changed that one little thing because he didn't feel like that was polite.
And,
Right.
Man, that's, and
You
I
know?
love him for that, like,
And CJ, he goes, and one of the things he tells me, I mean, that man is so huge. I mean,
that man is a
he's
fucking
giant.
beast.
He's a giant. And he speaks very softly. And he told me the reason he speaks so softly is he doesn't want to frighten people. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love you. How could I not love you? And I've had so many people ask me, fans saying, why are the monsters so kind? Why is it when I go and meet them, they are so nice? They'll talk about other ones that they've met, that were more in the hero category and not being quite as personal as the monsters, right? And I said, well, I'll tell you exactly why. Because their real job is to protect the actors on set. It looks like they're attacking, but every move they make, they have to make it look like they're hurting when they're not hurting anybody. So what you end up with are these really large men who have great ability for physical violence. They could break most of us in half in a heartbeat, but they're
Incredible self-control.
Yeah.
very gentle. They what?
Incredible
It's incredible
self-control.
self-control.
Yes, incredible self-control. I mean, if you look at in 13 Fanboy, my stuntman was, one of the stuntmen was Vincent DeSante.
Yeah.
And
absolutely, yep.
he is a phenomenal stuntman. He moves you in just such a way as to make sure that you're always safe. Like when I was being raised and lowered on the ground, he had a hold of me and he's raising me up and down. There was nothing I could do. He had to be able to control my entire body with my full weight because, there wouldn't be, I couldn't hold on to him or anything, or it would mess up the scene. But he kept complete control, lifting me up and down. Never at any time did I ever think that I was, going to get hurt or anything. And we worked at it together to make it so it was just the right amount, you know, of pull and tug to give it that feeling of violence when actually I could have been a baby being cradled by him.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I almost hate to even talk about part 5. So maybe I
No,
won't.
fuck you, Clint.
So,
Don't talk about part.
no,
Don't talk.
no,
No,
no.
no. I'm just kidding. Do your thing.
But I do like to highlight you as an individual and a person, because you're so much more than that first role that you had. I like to say that what I've discovered is that you're an educated individual. You're an accomplished individual. I mean, you look at everything that you've done, like actor, director, writer, journalist, teacher, producer, add whatever you want to that. You strike me as somebody who doesn't allow themselves to fail. And I was just curious, is that an accurate depiction of you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Failure only happens when you give up. But no.
Yes, it is.
And if I screw up, I mean, it doesn't matter. We just try again. I mean, I screw up everybody else, but there were 1,000 reasons that this film or any film would never be made. But it takes one person who refuses to take no for an answer.
Right.
You know, I mean, maybe one person who says no, and you have to say, okay, but you find another avenue. Always constantly have to look for another avenue. And I don't know if you've watched at all The Offer, which is talking about the making of The Godfather. It's a really good series. And it's when you're trying to get a film out, it's one thing after another. There's always there's literally 1,000 reasons why this film will never be made. You're talking about something that comes from this tiny kernel of an idea. And that idea doesn't have any weight to it. It's ethereal. It's nothing, right? And over time, you take that idea and you keep growing on it until it gains mass.
Right.
And it becomes something. That's with music, with books, with films. It's the same thing. This little idea with inventions. There's nothing and then there becomes something. No, failure is not an option. You know, somebody who asked me one time, what do you do when those doubts creep in? No, they're not allowed. They can't be. I don't have time for them.
I love that. I love the fact that you say that.
Great.
Because and it's really in your career, you know, with you doing like your shorts with like Hip Hop Hamlet and stuff like that, you know, it's just incredible that you haven't made more full-length movies like 13 Fanboy, because that's you're the kind of person that needs to be in Hollywood, you know, just a person that, hey, I have the actor set, I have whatever set, I'm not going to let them fail because I'm not going to fail, because that's not in the books.
Right.
And it's ridiculous, the fact that you're not more recognized. And I hate it, because that's really why I wanted you here, because, you know, I love the fact that you've done what you've done. You know, Friday the 13th Part 5 is like, as much as I hate to say it, because I loved you in it, and I loved, you know, John Robert Dixon with you, you know, as Eddie. It was just, it was a match made in heaven, you know, with Eddie. But it was like, it's what you do now that's more impressive, you know, as a director. And you know, 13 Fanboy, that I really hope that it gets the recognition that it's gonna get, which it already has. You know, when it was in the UK, it was huge. And I hate the fact that Germany got the fucking awesome Blu-ray, because the cover,
we're gonna have one here too.
The cover
is
amazing.
I was gonna ask.
Yes,
we will definitely have it.
That cover is incredible.
Yeah, they did a great job, didn't they? They really did. Well, listen, I want to address what you were talking about as far as I have several other films that I'm working on right now.
Oh, I know. I've
Live
I've
Ghost
listened to that
Story.
interview. Ghost Story.
Yep,
Please
I've got a
explain
ghost story,
that.
and I have another one, and it's called Ruthless Games We Play, that is mind blowing. It's kind of has a Gone Girl and a Misery kind of type vibe to it. I've got another film that is on reincarnation. I Remember Me.
That's new. Haven't heard
And
that one.
that one that's definitely a horror thriller, kind of crazy film. So I have a lot of things I'm doing. I am, I would love to direct for something like Blumhouse or something like that. If it happens, it happens, but that's okay if it doesn't, because I'm making my own films. So please, investors, message me. No.
Message us, because we'll give her money. Absolutely.
There you go.
No, that's great that you say that, because listening to, again, Terra Express, that was, I've listened to the interviews and done my homework, and the fact that you say the ghost story thing, and I know that you're a really big advocate for like Insidious, The Conjuring,
Yes.
those, and to me, those are the scariest movies, because again, it's the unknown. It's the
I know.
and that's what's so funny about you being in part 5. It's like what's coming. You get the hedge clippers, but it's like what you don't see is the scarier atmosphere, because
I know.
and that's how I am too. Paranormal Activity, Insidious, Sinister, Conjuring. It's like I don't know what's happening, and that's the thing. Watching these juggernauts walk around, it's like, well, I can see them, but what's going to happen to me when I go into the basement? Am I going to get thrown into the dryer and just fried? Am I going to get hung? Am I going to get thrown out the window? And I love the fact that we share that too. Like, it's the paranormal that I am more terrified of than any of these, juggernaut killers. I can run away. I know I'm going to eventually get caught, but the ghost part
especially
of it,
when the director says trip.
Stop.
I'm gonna trip.
There's
trip.
a wet spot there.
You're dying.
Yep, there's a wet spot there. But and that's the thing about the ghost thing, is like you can't expect anything, and that's what I've always loved about him, is that it's more. And even like what, let's do this, let's do a segue. So
okay,
I know that everybody's asked you, what's your favorite movie villain, which is obviously Rhoda Pembroke. I know that through and through. But I don't know if, and we always try to be original. So I guess, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen? Like, as far as you walked out of the theater, you turned the VCR, you turned the DVD player off. I said VCR. Fuck, I didn't. I've watched horror movies on VCR too. So shit. But what has stuck with you that you're like, I still think about that to this day?
Right. Okay. There's the very first one that just scared the living shit out of me was The Exorcist.
Oh, Jesus. We're best friends. We are best fucking friends, without a doubt. Yes. Still to this day.
Insanely scary. Now, more recently, I'm trying to remember which one of the Insidious it was. Oh, The Devil Made Me Do It, which tagline just, to me, almost took away from it. I felt like it didn't really fit, but the film itself, that was really scary. Did it affect me in the same way as The Exorcist? No, but I'm also an older woman now, so that's going to affect me more, but that scared the shit out of me.
She's only 40 years old, guys, so don't let her fucking fool you. No, I was the same way. Exorcist, my mom had always said, like, the scariest movie she saw was The Exorcist. And then, and I know why with you, because the whole religious thing about it was like, that's terrifying. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, when you see Reagan come down the steps, completely folded backwards. That's terrifying as shit. And
No
another movie that you
kidding.
mentioned, one of the newer ones, like Hush. Hush
Mhm.
is such it's
That's
such
really scary.
it's more scary. Honestly, that's one of the more scary movies I've seen,
Yeah.
nuance, because
I agree.
it's, you have a deaf woman that can't hear anything, and there's an
Right.
invader coming.
Right.
Like, that's as original as it gets. Like, I've never seen anything like it, and it blew my mind when I watched it. I'm like, this is something that I've never seen, and it's
Right.
terrifying, because what would you do? How would you
Right.
react? What would you do?
Right.
And it's so great that you've mentioned Hush, and you've mentioned The Exorcist, and
Yeah.
the
No, The
things that,
Hush is an incredibly well done film.
yes, without a
That
doubt.
one is really scary. It's definitely not a film I want to see by myself because I'd be constantly looking
Yeah,
over
right.
my shoulder.
Oh shit. I agree.
But and the same with Ghost. I mean, I was watching a ghost, a scary ghost story, and one of my dogs stares into the corner of the room, looks up about humans' height, nothing is there, and won't stop growling as though something really bad. And I'm just like, of course, I jump out of my skin. I'm like, stop it! You have to
I hate
stop.
that. My dog does it too. I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at? There's nothing there. Please stop. I'm not calling anybody to come investigate this house, because that's like and that's the thing too. Like, after watching like a lot of these things with like on YouTube, it's like animals perceive things a ton differently than we do. Like, they can see things, and I'm like, will you please stop? I'm not going to go to bed tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this very much. I
I'll go
know.
sleep in the
I know you're
car.
not,
Thank you.
and the dog's probably sitting there going,
Yeah, right.
we know how to scare
Like
her.
fucking
Got 'em.
Scooby-Doo. Like,
Just growl over there and pretend.
it's like, thanks,
Got another
Scooby-Doo.
one.
Yeah, I don't need Scooby-Doo in my house, but cool. I guess that's what I got. So we got it
Right.
in the corner. Thanks.
So I did a little research also, and you mentioned in one of those interviews a love for a film that I also love, The
Oh.
Bad Seed, and that was made at a time, to me, when I felt that topics like that weren't really being addressed, and
Right.
that was one of those things that made that so compelling and so frightening, and made a child seem to be one of the darkest creatures that you could encounter.
Right.
And several other films in my memory, I can only name a couple, did similar things, not necessarily in the horror genre, but like
Right.
we'll say like Blake Edwards, The Days of Wine and Roses, where they
Mhm.
really went in depth in alcoholism at a time when that wasn't really being discussed.
Right.
Psycho was inspired in part
Mhm.
by true events, and these were all the ones that stick with us. And I feel that you achieved a very similar thing with 13 Fanboy, because it's a very realistic idea that that someone could be obsessed with a fiction, with a movie, and feel that he really had a kinship to the characters, and
Right.
transition that to reality with the actors themselves, and somehow feel betrayed and become, like a stalker type, or
Right.
as you mentioned, a violent murderer who basically
Right.
wanted to make them feel the pain that he felt. I mean, I feel that was a great accomplishment. It's a really interesting idea, and something that you don't see a lot. And nothing else really comes to mind except maybe
Right.
trophy heads or something from like Full Moon. I mean,
Come
Right.
on, Clint. Come on. No, you explain, Deborah. Go for it.
I am hoping that people will see how much of a genre buster this is, because we're talking about, we haven't had a film where people in real life, whoops, I think are we still there? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. For some reason, my computer went crazy, so apologize. But
That's just me, my dear. We're good.
okay, good. let me think, where was I going? Oh yeah, that we haven't had a film where people were playing themselves being stalked like this. And so I feel like this is taking a new turn in horror into another subgenre.
There's only one movie that I can think of, but yours blows it out of the water, and that's A New Nightmare by
Right.
Wes Craven. And
Right.
as I was watching, I was just comparing it, and I'm like, Deborah's got
Like they're so different. It's not
like, how
quite
does
the
Deborah
same.
got Wes Craven beat? Like, she's beating him into the ground, because it's like,
Aw.
but again, it's, I grew up with Friday the 13th because, with Laura Park Lincoln and, Ron Sloan and CJ Graham and Kane Hodder, I'm like, I can appreciate these characters more.
Right.
And that's not to take anything away from Heather Langenkamp or Robert Englund or anybody,
Right.
John Sexton, RIP. But it was just like, it was, I don't know. It was like, I could just, it was just one of those things. Like, I understand what you were trying to do, but it wasn't
Mhm.
forced. That was the big
Right.
thing. It's like, well, you're going to have Freddy Krueger. So it's like, that's coming. But,
Right.
and everybody was like, oh, 13 Fanboy, that's going to have Jason. No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not. You
Nope.
got Kane Hodder and CJ Graham, two people that
Right.
played Jason, but they're not Jason here.
Right.
And that was, and watching, like watching CJ Graham do his thing, beating the shit out of the killer. It was like, man, that's cool. But that's the kind of person CJ is. He can pick somebody up, power bomb them, break their neck, throw them 15 feet in the air. That dude
Yeah.
is gargantuan.
I know.
And that's the really cool thing about what you did. Like, and again, New Nightmare it's a classic. It really is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a new style. It's a new generation, but it was just something that you brought to the table that was just, it just separated it.
I liked it because it was a Friday the 13th themed movie without actually being a Friday the 13th movie.
Thank you.
And you said
pretty
that,
unique take. I loved it.
And that's the cool thing about what you said, Deborah, was, you were, the Indiegogo thing was like, this wasn't going to be like a normal Indiegogo thing. It wasn't going to be like, well, let's release it on YouTube. This was never going to be something. And that's what I love about this so much, is the fact that, it's on Showtime right now. It's on Showtime.
Right.
And
I know.
I love that. And I bought it, as soon as it came up on streaming, I was like, game over. And I wish I would have bought I'm probably am going to buy if we'll talk about it later. Maybe we'll get an exclusive. We got the German version. Maybe there's a US version that, I'm going to buy. But, it was just the fact that, like, I bought it, I watched it, and I fucking loved it. Like, I automatically went on IMDb. I'm like, this is how and it's not, can I even say this is an indie film? I guess
it is
maybe.
an indie film.
But
Yeah,
I hate
because
that.
it's not made by, basically an independent film. It's just anything that's not made by the studios without.
But I hate that. I hate calling it that, because it's more than that. It's like, I watch it, I'm like, Paramount, New Line Cinema, this is how you make a fucking Friday the 13th movie. Don't do Jason Goes to Hell. Don't do Freddy versus Jason again. Do it like this. You got it. Yes, by all means.
You.
Because I absolutely adore this movie because of everything that you brought. And that's what's so great about it, is that you were in a Friday movie and now you're doing a Friday movie. So you get it, but it's not really a Friday movie. So I can't even say that, because it's just, it's just such a breath of fresh air to see what you can do. And, I can't ask about the sequel, because, Terror Express asked about the sequel. I know where you want to go with the sequel, because there were certain people that didn't die. Kane.
I'll just say, I hope there is one.
I'm pretty sure we never saw Kane die. Pretty sure. Air quotes.
Well, they made it look like it, but maybe he didn't.
Wink. Maybe he didn't. But the cool thing is that there's still so many avenues you can take with a sequel. You didn't have, like, the people from, say, part 3. Actually, you know what? Let's go segue back to the question.
Okay.
Good question. So, looking at the people that you brought into 13 Fanboy, was there anybody you approached that didn't want to do this? Say from like
Right.
part 2, 3, 4.
Adrian King decided not to be a part of the project because it was too close to comfort, because
Sure.
she did have the stalker.
Mhm.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean, where would we go for a sequel? I think it's possible we'll have a sequel.
Sure.
I mean, there's so many avenues that we can go. We could stay with the Friday the 13th Halloween franchise. We could move to a different franchise. We could, I'm kind of interested in some of the true stories.
You mentioned that too, which would be incredible. Like,
yeah, I mean, we have some pretty amazing stories out there of real life things that have happened. And I think that could be a really good avenue as well.
I agree.
Well, I've got a lot of things that I'm working on, a lot of things that I'm really excited about. The 3 films that I mentioned that I'm looking at doing next, those are really big and important ones. I have several things that I want to do. I have a lot of things that I've got to get out there.
And I hope to God you do them, like, please.
Oh,
and
there's not an if, it's going to happen.
and please, I mean, we're very big advocates of the indie horror, community. We have tried to, kind of embed ourselves in what these guys are doing, and a lot of things that
Right.
these guys are doing it's phenomenal. And
We-
the fact that you even said you consider 13 Fanboy an indie film, like, I just love the fact that you say that, because you understand what you have, and it's blown the
Right.
doors off. Honestly, what we've seen, it's blown the doors off like everybody's shit. Like, it's like, this is how you do it.
We've been in the top 10 for 3 months in DVD new releases on Amazon for horror.
Shocker.
And then for 3 days, we were number 2 only to Scream. And
Wow.
so I still feel like we have just barely scratched the surface of our audience, because we can't broadcast this everywhere the way Scream can. They have millions and millions and millions of dollars in advertising.
But Joel's good with distribution now, from what you said.
He got us a good company that we're working with, and he's done a good job with hooking us up with them. But we still have a long way to go to get enough promotions out there to really find our full audience. But I believe wholeheartedly that we will.
You will.
And I would say by and large, we've been embraced very well by the horror community. I think there's some horror fans who still, even though I kept saying this is not a Friday the 13th movie, expected one. And but they'll get over it. They'll realize it's just a damn good movie.
Oh my God, it's a fucking great movie, guys. I mean, I've put my review on IMDb. I mean, that's why I wanted you on here so bad. Like, and the fact that you're here, this is just mind blowing. It really is. Like, we have Deborah Voorhees on, and I always say it, like, we have it on our Piddly podcast. But the thing about it is that we believe so much in the indie horror scene that we just want this to succeed. And you're more than that. Like, you're stuck in between. Like, you've done Tina in Friday 5, and then you've made 13 Fanboys. So it's like you're kind of stuck in the middle, but you're so much more than that. And that's what I love about you, is the fact that you understand both sides of the spectrum. Is that hey, I've done this and I know what I'm doing. And the best thing is that, you know, the movies that you're coming out with, you know, your ghost story, I absolutely can't, like me, I cannot wait for that, because that's what I'm all about. I love the paranormal. I love to see what someone's going to do. And the fact that it's coming from you, Jesus, I know that's probably going to be original as all hell. So can't wait for that. You know, your Gone Girl thriller. God, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Me neither.
For this particular one, the writer, her name's Tammy McCoy, and my God, is that woman talented. We've been working on nuances. I've never taken somebody else's script where I've had to do as little work on it. I mean, it was just, we just kind of talked and back and forth on some nuances and talked about how to hone it just a little bit here and there. But she's an absolute brilliant writer. I hope to work with her.
If you're working with her, she has to be, because
yeah, she's amazing.
Your talent,
Guys, this script is, and the theme of it and everything. I don't want to say too much right now, but it's pretty mind blowing.
I want to get something exclusive for Hamityville, but I don't know how to get it out of you, because I'm like, I don't want to be that asshole. It's like, well, we only brought you so you could get we could get our exclusives, but you know, I can't do that with you because you're so fucking amazing. Like I don't even care.
I have not told anybody online about the story of the ghost last week at the estate sale.
There's your exclusive.
I'll take it. I'll take it, baby. I'll take it. 100% without a doubt. I will take it.
So I feel like
Clint, you were gonna say something.
I was just gonna say I feel like we've kept you a little long, but what I want to make sure we do is let everybody know how they can follow your current projects and your upcoming projects, and like maybe how they can find merchandise and things like that. When we might be able to expect a Blu-ray we could buy, you know.
Absolutely, we will have one. It'll probably be next year.
Okay.
It's up to, once it goes to the distributor, they make those decisions from there on out. And typically it's about a year after DVDs come out that Blu-rays come out. That's the normal trajectory of any film that's not just being put on YouTube kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Spreadshirt, there's a 13 Fanboy spreadshirt thing that you can type in and get merchandising. And the best place to keep up with what I'm doing is in my Facebook group, which is Deborah Voorhees Sheer Horror Group. And because if I'm announcing something, that's where it's going to be first.
Now
I do have a 13 Fanboy thing, and I make announcements there too. But one of the things I do on my page, I announce auditions. I announce when I'm looking for artwork, when I'm looking for music. So why? In this film, in 13 Fanboy, I have brought in people in all areas. I have musicians. Our theme song called 13, that was written by a fan for the film. He submitted.
With the music. Here's what's cool. So Ari Lehman did your music. The first Jason.
We have one of his songs in there. Tommy McLaughlin has a song in there. It's Haunted, and then Ari Lehman's is Victim. 13 is written by Tim Barnett, and it's sung by a dear friend of mine named Tom Chagone. Very, very talented guy. And that song is creepy as hell.
It is unnerving.
Very unnerving. And then, you know, we Mike Vogel, he has a band, and we have one of their songs in there. You know, that he's, you know, a fan, horror fan. And then we have extras. We have some actors, some people who were killed, all from we have visual artists. You know, the works that Dee was working on? That was actually made by Tammy McCoy as well. And then we had several other visual artists with stuff in her room and around the house that were used. And many of them were sent in by fans of horror who wanted to be a part of it. And so I did contests to send in your images of your artwork. And then if something fit, my goal was to try and pick something from the fans on every level. And honestly, it worked because there's so many talented fans out there. So if you follow me, you might very well also end up being included. You know, I included, we had 3 different horror podcasters that ended up being included in the film. You know,
sequel.
That's right. How are you going? I think I can do it.
It's like, I think I have that face. We might do it. That's what I love about you so much, is that you just bring so much to the fan base, because you understand like where you are. Like, some people are just like, you know, oh, well, the fans, well, you know, but you know, you understand. I mean, you even opened up screenwriting classes for your fans on the group.
I am going to be doing that. I put out a list of the different things that I can teach, and I wanted to know what everybody wanted, and hands down, it was screenwriting. So yeah, I am going to be doing some screenwriting classes,
which is amazing because
online. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have one price for if you want to watch the videos.
Sure.
And then another price if you would like me to go through, and then I will go and like look at your outline. I'll look at your, you know, at least 2 script changes. You know, like, I'll read your final script, then I'll give you script notes, and then after you make the changes, I'll make another read. So there'll be another price for that. And, you know, my goal is, I believe that the most important thing that you can do to become successful yourself is to help others become successful.
I love that.
Because you're helping to lift up others at the same time. So I haven't figured out exactly the price point. I've got to make it where it's enough that I can make a decent amount of money on it.
$1 million.
Still has 1 million. That's what I was kind of thinking.
It's worth it.
Yeah. And then I have but also I really want it to be something that most people, if they are determined to save the money, that they can do it. And so I just am kind of trying to figure it out. I think I have a pretty good idea what horror fans in general can afford and what will work for them. It's, you know, in the end, when I sit there and I'm going to start adding up my hours and everything, you know, but in the end, I want to make sure that it's something that's accessible for people.
I don't think anybody would have a problem. I don't think anybody would have a problem paying for anything that you put your stamp of approval on.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to encouraging new people to write and follow their dreams, you know.
And I'm going to ask you one more question, because I know we've already kept you, and if we have to pay you more, we can.
Well, I'm going to ask double from here on out.
Shit. Well,
yeah.
Clint, get that credit card ready, because
all right.
No, so you've done, we'll say air quotes. So you've done a Friday the 13th / not Friday the 13th fan film.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
not fan film.
I got 2 questions.
Not a fan film.
Not a fan film.
Nope, just a film for the fans.
Just a film. All right. So
right.
Have you watched any of the other Friday the 13th fan films? And if you have, what have you watched?
I haven't seen all of them. I have seen some.
Okay.
But my favorite, hands down, is Never Hike Alone.
That's
Set the bar.
99.9%.
It's a great
Yeah.
movie.
It is.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
is. It's a solid movie. It is absolutely without a shadow of doubt. And of course, that's Vincent DeSante's project. And he's a solid director. He's a solid producer. This is a man who actually works in Hollywood, works in the business. He knows what quality is. He knows what he's doing. And he's a hell of a nice guy too.
No
And
doubt.
hell
That's
of a
all,
stuntman.
that's all I've heard.
So-
Is that dude is a fucking gentleman and a scholar.
Yep.
So here's the last question. So you've done your, you know, non slash, you know, off Friday the 13th
Spin-off.
thing, spinoff.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick, what would be your other franchise that you would want to do a slash spinoff to?
I don't know. You know, in a fanboy vein,
Hmm?
is what you're thinking.
Hmm?
I could see there being some really interesting aspects that could be brought into the Nightmare series, because the Fanboy could bring in those elements to kind of haunt people. Not a haunting like a ghost, but haunt, you know. I could also see that Scream could be an interesting one to do as well.
There is a really good Scream one out right now that I don't know who does it, but it is apparently taken over YouTube as far as a Scream fan film. It's got like 500,000 views.
Okay.
And I'd like to check that out. One that I have not, actually two that I have not seen anybody do is the Hellraiser series,
Right.
which, I mean, that would be hard to do anyway, because that fan base is like,
Right.
I will kill you if you do anything other than the norm.
Right.
But another one, and I've told Clint that I want to do it. I don't know if you've seen it, but I want to do a Darkman fan film.
Oh,
I don't know if you
interesting.
remember Darkman,
Right.
but it's like, or a Tremors fan film would be awesome.
Right. Interesting. Well, and Michael Gross, he lives here in New Mexico too. I went to a play that he did with Meredith Baxter, and they did love letters, and they did a brilliant job of it. So I was very, very impressed with them.
See, she's got it. She can do whatever she wants. That's what's so great about her. She's got connections. But the biggest thing is, if you made 14 of these movies, 13 Fanboy, 14, Slaughter Row, whatever it's called, whatever the subtitle was, I wouldn't care. Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you have been
Thank
Watch 'em all.
incredible. Watch them all.
Thank you.
And we can't thank you enough for being here with us. I know.
Yeah,
You
and
probably-
my apologies to Scout that we didn't spend much time talking to him about his experience on the film, but
He did take off and leave.
You know what? There is
Yeah.
one more question I want to ask.
maybe
One
I can get
more.
his autograph later.
Yes.
Absolutely, the paw print. But
Fantastic.
there is one more, and then
Okay.
you can send me the bill for $1,000. So there.
No, only
so-
double what you were agreed to pay me in the first place will be fine.
Shit, that's 3,000. All right, well, it is what it is. So I know you've seen the original Friday the 13th,
Mhm.
part 5, and obviously 13th
Mhm.
Fanboy.
Right.
Has that changed? Have you watched any other Friday the 13th movie?
Oh yeah, no, I've seen them all at this point.
And what is your favorite? Don't say part 5. Don't fucking say it.
Say part 5.
Say part 5.
No, honestly, it's the first one.
It has to be. I mean, it really
Yeah,
does.
I mean, one, there's several reasons for it. One, it is the beginning of everything. It's how it started. It's so I think it's an important story. Plus, I love the story of the bereaved mother who's lost her mind. That's going back to, some of the things we've talked about,
Mhm.
what people go through, and sometimes they turn out and become something that who they're not at their core. but by all intents and purposes, it's who they seem to be, because that's what they're projecting to the world. And she's, attacking people who have absolutely nothing to do with her child's death, but she feels so much pain from how he was treated. And all she can feel is that pain and that fear and that anger, as opposed to understanding that this was just a horrible situation. And I think it would be really interesting. There was a guy who did a study on brains, and he literally went in and he scanned many people's brains. It was like a huge number. I can't tell you for sure how many, but it was like 13,000, 30,000, something like that, but it was a huge number. And he scanned the brains of people who were in prison for very, very violent crimes. And time and time and time again, they found damage to the frontal cortex.
That's always been that's something that's come up. And there's a podcast I listened to called The Last Podcast on the Left. And they talk about that, with Dahmer and Gein and, Henry Lee Lucas. It's always like a traumatic frontal lobe injury or a brain injury, a head injury that starts this, path of darkness. Is that it's like, it always has something to do with that. Like they always talk about, well, there's a head injury. There's some kind of there's something there that it triggers it. And the fact that you say that, it's not coincidental. Like that is the constant thing that happens. It's like, well, there was a head injury, a head injury, a head injury. And it, a lot of people don't understand that. It's like when you lose control of that, that's what happens. It's not, it's not, it's not somebody's fault. Like it's not, I want to say that, like, it's not like if you murder 31 people, that is a heinous act. That is nightmarish. But when your brain can't shut that down, what are you supposed to do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's the thing that I just would like people to try and think of is, when somebody is like that, yes, we have to stop them. And very often it does end violently because they may be being stopped in the middle of a violent act. And but let's not forget to have compassion for that person. I don't know what happened to them, whether it is the frontal cortex or something else or whatever it is, but it's still a human being. That person's still a human being. And I cannot hate them. I can't. I'm not telling you I don't get angry sometimes. I'm not going to even tell you that there aren't times that I'm raising my fist and damn it, this is wrong. And I'm pissed and I hate this. I hate this person. But this is like a split instant. I immediately, have to get myself back in check and just go, okay, stop and remember, this is a human being and we don't know this person's story.
It's true. It's true.
I completely agree. They had to be stopped, or they have to be put into jail, or they have to in some way, be kept from hurting someone else. Don't forget that they need our compassion. And just imagine a world where we all show compassion to everybody. People tend to want to, they'll say, well, I'll pray for you, because they're going to pray for the quote good guy. But who needs it the most? Well, they do, absolutely. fully for that.
Mhm.
Don't forget the other side is also a human being. And let's not forget to love there. If we look at this and say, you can also look at it as self-preservation, if nothing
Sure.
else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that we all have souls, and I believe that we all have a conscience, have a consciousness that exists prior to our birth and after our birth.
Mhm.
Energy cannot be destroyed. That means we are all in this together. So we have to find a way to work together with people in all different ranges. I'm not going to say levels because that gives like better and worse.
Yeah,
And not-
better. Yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah.
better or you're worse than I am.
yeah, and I do not believe that there is any such thing as anybody better or worse than someone else. There may be deeds that are
Right.
better or worse than something else, but not the human life or the human, the soul, the soul. But imagine if we all try to work to help the quote, those who have done the worst deeds among us. I get that there are people that can't be helped because they do have this problem with their physical brain.
Mhm.
But let's say if it's beyond that, those who have done some smaller things that they were messed up for whatever reason. There's an old tribe, and I can't remember the name of the tribe, but when somebody would step out of line and actually go and harm somebody in the tribe, what they did, they would take that person and put him in the center of the tribe, and they had to stay there. They would keep them confined. And every member of the tribe would come to that person and tell them all the wonderful things they know about them. The idea was to shower them with love. I remember when you were 5 and you did this. I remember when you were 12 and I was sick and you brought me, some soup. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever their little story, whatever their moment was. And how much better that can be. Now, please also don't mistake me to say that if you're living in a situation with somebody who's being abusive and things to you, you have to first love yourself, and you have no business, whether it's verbal abuse or whatever. You do not have to stay there and participate in that. But you can also, when you leave them, you can do it and still love and care about them, but at a safe distance where they won't harm you.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, without a doubt. That's, again, I know the kind of person that you are. You're not going to condone these acts of violence, yada, yada, yada. I like that's
No.
not that, and that's not what anyone is saying, and that's not what she's saying.
No.
If anybody, listen to this interview, get yourself out of the situation, but don't, it's not something that you need. Don't, that person has been through something.
Right.
That person has seen, heard, done something
Right.
that gets them like they are.
Right.
And maybe it's reversible, maybe it's not. But
Right.
it's still the fact that I love the fact that I listened to your interviews before this, because it's still the same thing. It's like we're one and the same. Nobody's better than anybody else, regardless of
Right.
where anybody is.
Right.
Nobody's better than anybody else. We're all coming from the same light. We're all coming from the same, the same amount of, prestigious religion and prestigious beliefs.
Right.
And that's what that's where a lot of people don't understand. It's like we're all still the same. I put my pants on the same way that you both do. I say the same
Right.
things, I speak the same way you both speak. I'm not better than anybody. Nobody's better than
Right.
anybody. And that's
We're all love and light at the end
love
of
and light. That's what, yep. Love
shed-
and light. That's what you're
when
trying.
we
That's what I was
shed
trying to
this
say. Yep.
body, when this body's gone, that's what's left.
Yep.
It's
Like you said, energy can't
life
be
is
destroyed.
hard, and when we're in this body, we get confused and we get lost and we get mad and we have all of these emotions. But that doesn't change the fact that we're still love and light after all of that said and done.
And that's what I love about the fact that you say that, because it's like, no matter what happens, no matter what you've done, no matter what you've said, no matter, like you said, energy can't be destroyed.
Mm-mm.
It's infinite.
Right.
So,
And isn't that wonderful to know?
yes.
I think people would lose a lot of fear if they realized that no matter what, you're loved. I don't care what you've done. You're loved.
And
I
think
do
that
like
goes
that
a long
approach.
way. Yeah, it goes a long way.
Every time I mess up, all the people around me tell me everything they love about me. That would be really cool.
I hate you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Wouldn't that?
I'm kidding. I love. He's my brother. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
I love him. No matter
You know,
what he does.
and in a sense, I think that would, the accomplishment there would be to let you know in a positive way you're better than this.
Right.
And
without
that's
the
pretty cool.
lecture. There's not
Right.
a lecture saying you're better than this and don't you behave like this, young man,
Oh,
right?
isn't that great?
Mhm.
That's the thing. Why do I have to be lectured? I know that already. I know that, and that's. Oh, God, I'd love talking to her. We're already going. Like, if this is gonna, we're gonna go 4 more hours if we do this. But no, just you are a fantastic fucking soul. You are a phenomenal person. I love it. And listen to the interviews that you've done. I love everything about you. An interview that we've done. God, I love you so much. Like,
Mm.
you're just a phenomenal person. And if you don't get
Thank
told that
you.
enough, that's a shame on the people. Just talking to you, meeting you, and I'm not bullshitting you because I don't do that. You're a phenomenal person, and it's
Thank you.
great to hear that somebody that understands their accomplishments can still be brought back to earth and say, I wouldn't be here without the grace of God. I wouldn't be here without the people that are around me,
Mhm.
and I love that about you, and that's what's
Yeah.
so great about talking to you, because we share the same mindset. Like,
Yeah.
I'm lucky for what I have. I'm blessed for what I have. And I just want to get better,
Mhm.
but if I
Right.
don't, so what?
It's okay.
I'm happy with where I am.
Things that helps me is like if I'm having a bad moment, and this maybe you can use, is just remember that you have to love yourself as much. When you're handing out love, you have to love yourself, because that's incredibly crucial. Otherwise, how can you truly fully love another one? It's just say, hey, talk to yourself. I get why you're feeling this way. Talk to yourself the way you would a best friend. Look, I get that, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have lost your temper. What would you say to somebody you love dearly and they've got a good heart and they're trying so hard, and oh boy, did they just screw up.
Right.
Say, gosh, I completely get why you were so mad, why it happened like this. I understand you. And you know what? When you say that to yourself and you give yourself that kind of acceptance and love, guess what? It becomes easier to not lose it because you're being so kind to yourself. And when you're really kind to yourself, it's just so much easier to be kind to everybody else. I mean, if everybody could see who they really are, we wouldn't have problems in the world.
No, we wouldn't know. And that's
No.
what's so great about, talking with you, is that it's like, people we would have no problems. I mean, I get people think the way that they think. They gotta and they gotta figure that out for themselves. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I'm not gonna tell you how to feel. You're eventually gonna catch up and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure you were right. But it's just one of those things that, I'm blessed in this moment right now. It's 7:49 on June 1st that I can talk to you.
Well, I'm very
Because
blessed to talk to you guys too. I think you're both amazing. You've been so kind and so thoughtful, and I am so grateful to both of you. And I can see the goodness in your heart, and I'm so grateful
I'll even take my
that you
sunglasses off for
shared
that,
that with
'cause
me.
I don't
Thank you
take
so
my
much.
and Clint can ask you. I don't take my sunglasses off.
He really doesn't.
I don't. I'm putting them back on. But talking with you, and again, I thought I was more of an annoyance to you because I'm like, are we cool for this day? Are we cool for that day? And you're like, yes. I'm like, oh shit, she's mad. Like
I've never been mad at you.
It was so funny today because you were like, I was like, are we good for tonight? And she said, yes. In an hour and 10 minutes, I'm like, well, I'm gonna count that shit down. Like,
Relax,
I'm gonna put
bro.
that on that's on my phone. Like, I'm ready to go. And you have not even closely been a disappointment. You have been, honestly, sorry, I'll say it on air when we put it on. You have been our best interview we've had to this point. It has been an absolute joy to talk to you,
Well,
and
thank
to
you.
know what you've done and know what you're doing. We're so blessed to be part of it, and we hope that we hear more from you. Post what you want on the page. I know you have, your Facebook group, and I friended
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
16 months ago, but I know you were full, but that's over. That's fine.
And hey, if you guys will put your Facebook things for me in a private messaging, and
Yes.
I'll,
Yes.
check for friends. I will be honest. They have like a max of 1,000 that can even ask,
Right.
and I'm there.
No,
all
I
the
know. I know you
But
are.
I have, I think, 9 openings right now. I think I've warned people, if you come to my site, you are going to have to
Right.
come up with a lot of things about love.
Hey.
Like going, where's the blood, honey?
They're like, did she kill anybody? Who killed her?
Kill people.
Jesus. It's not all about that, guys. It's not all about a horror movie. No,
If you want to know, if you want the blood side, it's all about blood and love, honey. Just go to the blood side is over at Sheer Horror Group, and Deborah Voorhees Sheer Horror Group, and the love side is on just Deborah Voorhees.
She's got it. She has
But
the
if
shit
you
separated.
recognize every single, even in 13 Fanboy, did I let the killer just be a blind killer? No, he had a history and a reason.
Yeah.
For why he was the way he was.
Again, guys, watch the fucking movie.
Blood
The
and love,
movie is
baby.
incredible. Sorry, I dropped the F-bomb a lot. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't bother you, but I'm just like,
No.
people need to see this movie. I watched this movie. I bought it as soon as it was out on streaming, and I was not disappointed in any way, shape, or form. God, Deborah Voorhees, without a shadow of a doubt, just another, just a absolute stellar human being. I can't. I'm just really having trouble finding words, because you just really shocked me to how amazing you've been, and I love that Clint's like smiling up there, because
I'm just say thank you for Christ's sake.
I'm saying thank you for Christ's fucking sake. I'm just saying, like, I'm blown away by the fact that she's how she is. I didn't expect that, and I love the fact that she is how she is. It's just incredible.
Well, thank you guys. I really do appreciate you both. I really do.
I'm so happy you came on.
Thank you. Me too.
1,000%.
Me too.
So again, Clint, do your thing. Where can we find her? Where should we look?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell you where I'm going to look. I'm going to look on Deborah Voorhees Sheer Horror Group. I'm going to go there, and I think I'm going to check out that Spreadshirt and try to find some 13th Fanboy merch. So
You're my man.
So we're gonna do our thing.
Wonderful.
We're gonna do our thing. Miss Deborah Voorhees, again, thank you so much for being part of this. Man, it's been a blast.
I've enjoyed it as well, guys.
Absolutely.
Y'all take care.
You too, my
Yes,
dear.
you
Thank you
too.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.